this button on the back. We're good. Good evening, everyone. At this time, I'm going to call this meeting to order. If everyone will please stand for our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible. So I'm not going to say too much right now, but this is our soft opening, so there's going to be some potential technical difficulties throughout the meeting, but you don't know until you have a meeting to figure out what's right and what needs to be changed. So again, welcome everyone on this wintertime weather. It's not hot and it's not dry anymore. Fellow board members, you've had a chance to review our minutes of our January 10th, 2022 regularly scheduled meeting and the minutes of our January 18th, 2022 special call meeting. If there are no changes that need to be made, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of our January 10th, 2022 meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. I'm saying aye and nay. I normally say raise your right hand, but it's hard for me to see right hands. So we're going to change it that way now. Need a motion to approve our January 10th, 2022 closed session minutes. Everybody's had a chance to read through those. If we do need to make changes, we'll do that in closed session. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Everyone's had a chance to review the January 18th, 2022 special call Board of Education meeting. If there's no changes to that, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Do we have any additions or deletions to our agenda?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, in item 4.3, we'd like to add to the consent agenda an ROTC field trip that we just received, and you should have that in your packets. So when we get there, maybe give them a minute to look through it.
Yes, exactly. Any other additions or deletions?
No, sir, that's all I have.
Hearing that, I'll entertain a motion to approve our agenda as amended.
Motion. Second.
Motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Matters of the public. Good news, Mr. Rice.
Good evening. We have one piece of good news tonight to talk about, and that is about one of you guys. And they have a certificate for successful completion of Academy of School Boardsmanship training requirements for the 2020-2021 academic school year, and this is awarded to Jean Dudley.
Jean makes the rest of us look bad.
Any comments, Mr. Dudley?
Oh, no comment.
That's all I have.
Thank you. At this time, we move into our public comment section. Our public comment guidelines. The Pamlico County Board of Education welcomes the opportunity to hear from the public during its regularly scheduled meetings. The public comment period is open for members of the public, including parents and students, to voice compliments, concerns, or complaints about performance of school personnel, implementation of board policy, the quality of the education programs, or school facilities. According to Policy 1326, presentations are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. Obscene, vulgar, or profane statements and statements reasonably perceived to be disruptive or imminently threatening to the orderly operation of the meeting shall not be permitted. So at this time, our first individual that has signed up, Ms. Robin Meyerson, you can come to the podium, and I will let you know when you've got 1 minute left.
Thank you. Good evening. My purpose in coming here today is to talk about a dangerous and possibly deadly situation that exists twice a day, every school day, in front of the primary school. Every day before school starts and every day before school ends, parents line up in front of the school in their cars to pick up their students. Approximately 25 cars can fit on the school parking lot. The rest of the cars line up on Neals Creek Road. I've counted as many as 40 cars waiting to pick up their kids. I first mentioned this to the sheriff himself on November 30th, and he chose to not pursue anything in this regard. On January 12th, I spoke with the principal. She too declined to pursue this in any regard. I also sent an email to the school board president on January 28th, and I did not ever hear back from her. So here's the problem. First of all, there's a North Carolina vehicular law, 20.161, subparagraph A1, that says, in part, stopping on a highway is prohibited. No person shall park or leave standing any vehicle, whether attended or unattended, upon the paved or main traveled portion of any highway. And it goes on, but that's the gist of it. And what happens is, I personally live down Neals Creek Road past the school. So if I want to come out, if I want to come home around any time between 2:15 and say 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I wind up stopping behind 40 or more cars. Some days, the cars almost reach Highway 55. I have two options. Stay there and stand in line for 45 minutes to an hour to go to my home, or pass 30 or 40 or more cars to get to my house. The problem comes in...
You have 1 minute.
Thank you. The problem comes in that people who are leaving the school grounds sometimes, and I've witnessed this, do not stop at the stop sign. They merely zip out onto the road, and one of these days, we're going to have a head-on collision. I've already had one situation where somebody pulled out, and we were nose to nose, and I had to back up. I had to back up about 30 cars to get out of their way. So I'm requesting that you all come up with some way of fixing this situation. One suggestion would be to have the school buses come to the front of the school and the parents pick up their kids in the back of the school and let the excess cars run down Anderson Drive down towards the high school. Another solution might be to have more school buses. I don't know why 90 or 100 kids get picked up there every afternoon and dropped off every morning. So if y'all can fix it, I'd be very happy. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Our second individual request to speak at public comment, Ms. Vicki Mosley Jones. Again, I will let you know when you have 1 minute left.
Good evening, everyone. As you know, my name is Vicki Mosley Jones, and I am the Education Chair for the Pamlico County Chapter of the NAACP. As many of you know, we have been meeting with or attending board meetings since November, as we have been addressing issues of racial inequities in the school system. And so because we want this to be transparent, when we do have meetings, we like to be able to come forward at our board meetings and discuss where we are or give an update. Our chapter met with board members on January 31st. We met with two of your board members, Chairman John Prescott and Helen Robinson, our school superintendent Lisa Jackson, Dr. Irvin Patrick, Shakia Robinson, along with parents and school partners in the Pamlico County school system from 2 to 4 here at the Board of Education. This meeting was initiated by the board chair, Mr. Prescott, who reached out to us in hopes of us forming a partnership. So what I want to do is just briefly give an update on the matters that we discussed and what happened in that meeting to allow everyone to be aware of it. We received updated demographics, information on the school, updated demographics, information on the school improvement plan, guidelines on the hiring and recruitment and retention of employees. The parents were given an opportunity to express their concern on issues affecting their children, such as some parents feeling intimidated by school administrators, children being suspended without paperwork, and racial inequities in who goes to in-school suspension as opposed to home suspension. We also agreed, and it was acknowledged, that there are issues to work through, and one of the board members affirmed that they were elected to represent the children of Pamlico County Schools, and that they have heard the concerns and they are listening. And in my opinion, it was a very positive meeting. We left with a work list of things that we all have agreed to do. The school superintendent had encouraged those parents who were there to reach out to her personally for issues that they hope to be able to resolve together. We agreed to meet again in April with updates, not only from the school in terms of things that they are doing, but also the NAACP and issues that we hope to initiate, especially with the partnership with with Pamlico Community College in offering two-year education program, which would eventually, they could be able to transfer to a four-year institution. This would be a way to initiate our Grow Your Own program. I do want to thank Mr. Prescott for initiating that meeting, and it went very well. And we agree that there are things that we have to work on, but we've agreed to work on them together. So I thank you for that. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you for your comments, and I will echo that was a very good meeting, informational meeting, good dialogue, and what we are doing now is developing action items, and then we're going to have action steps. And as Ms. Mosley Jones says, it's going to be for things that the board we're looking at, and our central office personnel, and our school personnel as well. And then, as she said, the NAACP as well. They'll have action items and action steps, because as a partnership, we can make things change and be beneficial for everyone. Thank you. All right, moving on to agenda item 3, our superintendent's report. Ms. Jackson.
Good evening, everyone. The first item is item 3.1, the membership report. You have that in front of you. We have at Pamlico Primary a +1, Fred Anderson a +5, Pamlico Middle School a -3, and Pamlico High School a +2 for an overall +5 in the district in the past month. So very good. The next item, 3.2, I'm probably as excited about this as some other folks are about this new building that we're getting ready to start sometime soon in the near future, our new school. But as you all sit in this room, as Mr. Prescott said earlier, this is our soft opening, because officially, I mean, we still have the monitors to put up and a lot of audio visual things to work out. And I'm getting text messages. That's why I turned my phone over. Everybody was saying, we can hear y'all now. It's great on the live stream. So I'm real excited to hear that. This has been a work in progress, and we're very excited from that little tiny room that we used to have our board meetings in. But next month, our board meeting is March the 7th. We will have our grand opening, and we hope that you guys will come out. We're going to have some special guests and some very special presentations on that night. So we're excited about that. Just thankful for all the people that have helped us get to this point. So anyway, that's all I'll say about that. But just please plan to come next month. Item 3.3, the class size mandate for kindergarten. So it is appropriate that I let you know when we reach our cap in kindergarten, which is 18, an average of 18 per classroom. According to the legislation, that's when I need to let you know that we're getting close, so we may have to add a kindergarten class, and we are there. Right now, we have 18, 18, 19, and 17. So we're at the max right now. So we get one more, Ms. Carter Moore, and we will be opening a new kindergarten classroom. So just to let you know that, and I'll keep you posted as that happens. And with these numbers increasing, that could happen very soon. So we're prepared. We kind of already have a plan. So the next item, item 3.4, is facility usage. As a lot of you know, with COVID, we kind of closed down the rental of the facilities and letting outside folks use our facilities. We didn't officially vote that, we just kind of went to that. And unless you have huge objections, we would like to open our facilities back up. Our rec department, the YNTO, they need a place for these kids to play basketball and volleyball, and they've even said if we can just be outside in your ball courts. But I actually met with the county manager today, and he mentioned it, and I told him it was coming up tonight. I mean, we're the benefactor of all those programs, y'all. That's why, go to the ball game tomorrow night and see what happens. But we're the benefactor of those programs. So I really would like for us to do that. And if anybody has any comments or whatever, let me know now, because otherwise I'm calling them tomorrow and we're going to tell them we're ready to open up. So anybody have any concerns about that?
So we'd open it up like it was before COVID?
Ish, yes. Because to be honest, I don't think the rec department program, they've said they probably won't do their full-blown programs right now. They just want a place for like open gym on Saturdays and that kind of thing, a place for kids to go. They don't have anywhere to go because I guess the fire department has taken their outside courts that they used to play on, where they're building a new fire department. So, but they need a place to go.
I agree with you. I think it's time.
Okay. Well, and one of the folks that called, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Patrick, said, I understand, but you're having ball games and all of that, so we just want to have the same people in your gym, basically, but it's on a Saturday instead of on a Friday night. Makes sense. So, any objections to that? And we will full protocols with, sanitation and all that, and I had that conversation with the county manager today as well. So if you have any concerns, feel free to reach out to me tomorrow. So item 3.5, last week, we were doing some... Oh, last month.
Yeah.
I was not here. But we had introductions of some of our assistant principals as well as our learning acceleration coordinators, because we're finding that, with all the new employees we have in our district this year, the board doesn't know a lot of them. So we decided to take the time to introduce some of our staff to you. And some of them aren't new to our district, but maybe new in their roles. So they all were not available last month. So we have asked the other ones to come. So I'm going to start with Mr. Gaskell. And I just want you guys to tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and how glad you want to be here.
All right.
No pressure, just
I'll
kidding.
remember those 3 points. Good evening, everybody. My name is Joshua Gaskell. This is my 12th year in public education, and all 12 years of my service have been right here to Pamlico County Schools. I'm a native son of the area, so it's a great honor and privilege to be able to give back to my community in this way. I was not here last month. I apologize. I had the amazing opportunity to facilitate a seminar for NCAT out at the Ocracoke campus, so we keep that partnership strong between Pamlico County Schools and NCAT. I've served in a variety of different roles over the last 12 years, teacher being near and dear to my heart, especially in 2015, being named the Southeast Regional Teacher of the Year. Currently serve as assistant principal at the high school with a pretty awesome team. So thank you guys for all your support throughout the years, and we look forward to doing great things.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Gaskell. And this next one, when she left as a math teacher from Pamlico County High School, I told her I'd get her back. Oh, I'm going on to bigger and better things, and she did, but she ended up back here doing bigger and better things. So, Ms. Minor.
Good evening. I'm Zaquavia Minor. I currently serve at the high school as the Learning Acceleration Coordinator. I'm so excited for this position. I told Ms. Jackson no several times. She harassed me for a really, really long time to get me back. But I'm super excited for this position because teaching math is something that I love to do, but it gives me the opportunity to help in that area. A few other areas, but it still kind of feeds to that passion that I have for teaching math and being in the math classroom. I actually got to go in a math classroom and teach the other day, and I was like, oh, I love it. The
But you were happy to leave too, aren't you?
yeah, not full time though.
No, that's right. I knew you would say that.
Can't do it. But I just appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to give back to the community. I too was born and raised here, graduated from the high school in 2007. I actually started at the Fred Anderson as an instructional coach and then moved to the high school as a math teacher. So this position is really great, and I'm excited to keep going.
Thank you very much. Yay. Very excited. You can see why I'm excited to have them. I don't have anyone else here to introduce themselves, do I? All right, so I have nothing under miscellaneous, but last but not least, my favorite part of the night, sorry, board members, but it's when the principals get to speak. So we're going to have principal time now, and I'm going to start with the high school.
Good evening, everyone. We've had a lot going on since we shared with principal time last time, so I will try and make this short and sweet, but we have a lot of things to be excited about. We made it through fall semester exams. We are looking at data in both our SIT as well as our PLCs to determine next steps, goals for the remainder of this school year, as well as beginning preparations and determining goals for next school year, to include course registration, master schedule development, that sort of thing, to prepare our teachers for what that's going to look like next year so that those PLCs can truly be meaningful and data rich. Cane's Lunch. We are monitoring quarantine and COVID numbers, but we are scheduled to re-implement Cane's Lunch February 22nd. That's after the February optional workday, so we're very excited about that opportunity to be able to provide that tutorial support for those students who are struggling, as well as activities and clubs for students to get involved in that may not be able to, because right now we're having to have those types of things after school or not at all. Along with that, we are going to be hosting a spring open house, and it's a floating event on February 22nd from 4:30 to 6:30 for students and their parents to come out and speak with their second semester teachers. We are wrapping up basketball and wrestling seasons. We have home games for basketball. Tomorrow will just be our ladies and our varsity. We don't have enough, couldn't find any officials for our JV game, so that'll actually start at 5. We have another one on Wednesday and next Tuesday. So those are our last 3 home basketball games of the regular season, so try and make it out, and they're doing a great job. We also are wrapping up wrestling season. Kevin Knox was chosen as Conference Coach of the Year, so that was really exciting, and our Pamlico County High School wrestlers were conference champs. And now we're getting geared up for baseball and softball, and tryouts begin on Monday. So we also had 2 qualify for all-region jazz band and score high enough to qualify for all-state jazz band. Connor Daniels was chosen as first chair tenor sax, with Jamie Durham as second chair tenor sax. We also had 2 qualify for all-district band with 1 alternate. Anna Rose is second alternate alto sax. She was 6th overall for the 9th and 10th grade. Caroline Rose was chosen as 5th chair flute in the 9th and 10th grade all-district band, and Jamie Durham is first chair tenor sax in the 11th and 12th grade all-district band. Jamie also scored high enough to audition for all-state band, so we've got lots of things going on both athletically and in the arts. And we finally, our big thing that's coming up, we are going to be holding an ACT boot camp for our eligible juniors to prepare for the ACT administration that begins the first week of March. So lots of exciting things going on, lots of really amazing things. So again, I appreciate this opportunity to serve our school and our community.
Thank you. And next we'll have the middle school.
Good evening. Sorry, I'm a little bit tall, so I'm going to move it a little bit. So I'm going to start with some academic updates, and then I'll move into some other items. Like the other schools, we are using a program called Classworks Universal Screener as one way to measure our students' progress in ELA and math. Our students show significant progress and growth from the beginning of the year screener to the middle of the year screener. The goal was that at least 80% of our students will show proficiency with just core instruction alone. Each grade level content area developed goals for their middle of the year screener based on the data that we got back from the beginning of the year screener. And we are super excited. Every single grade level content area surpassed their middle of the year goal or showed a significant amount of progress toward their goal. In addition, each grade level content area decreased the number of students who fell far below grade level expectations. Our 6th grade math and ELA, which is super exciting, met their 80% proficiency target. And 7th grade math also reached that 80% proficiency target. So we were really excited about that. This past weekend, you may have seen on social media, Science Olympiad team participated in the North Carolina Regionals virtual competition. They have been meeting every single week with Mrs. Sherry Hale since early in the school year to prepare for this event. And this was 3 years in the making for a lot of these kids. So before the pandemic, they were preparing to go to competition just after the pandemic hit, and so they never got to go. So our current 6th and 7th graders were super excited that they're finally getting this opportunity to participate. We don't have the results back, but I will certainly share those out once we do get those. I was able to go and kind of hang with the kids, and it was just really fun to see them competing and cheering one another on. Moving on to some athletic updates. Our girls basketball team, also conference champs. They were totally undefeated this season. So we're super proud of them and the coaches for the work that they put in. We are done with athletics. We have about a week break, and then we're going to move into some spring athletics. So we're excited about that. Since we did not get to present in January, I do want to share that our staff spotlights for January were Sherry Hale and Lupita Mija. And for February, we are recognizing Karen Caton, our school nurse, and Bethany Rothers, and she is a first-year teacher with us. Also in January, we recognized several students as heroic hurricanes. I've previously shared with you, these are kiddos that have demonstrated the characteristics that are outlined in our Canes PBIS matrix. And the students that we recognized this month were Jasmine Lee, Krista Balance, Jasmine Atkins, Jocelyn Robinson, Marion Aguilera, Marcus Wilson, Abigail Toller, Molly Popperwell, Jocelyn Alvarado, and Infinity Blakemore. And lastly, last week we kicked off Black History Month with weekly trivia, and each week in February we're going to be focusing on a different theme, a specific theme. This week the focus is HBCU week, so homeroom classes are each researching a historically Black college or university in North Carolina. Next week, the theme is going to be All Eyes on Herstory, so we're going to be celebrating the contributions of Black women. And then the last week in February is themed Oh, the Places We'll Go. And so our media students are actually going to be interviewing some of the individuals from within our community, and we're going to be showcasing them the last week in February. So keep your eyes and your ears peeled for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Now Fred Anderson Elementary.
Good evening, everyone. Just to echo my colleagues, we've also had a lot going on at Anderson since I last got to speak with y'all at principal's time. So, since we've come back to school in January, we have also completed all of our mid-year screeners and our North Carolina check-ins, which are benchmark assessments that we do every year. Our students have also shown significant growth since the beginning of the year, so that's definitely something worth celebrating. Our 4th grade especially has met that 80% target that Ms. Lanchi just kind of explained to you. So we're really excited about that. Lots of data to look through in the next coming weeks. So move on to our character awards. We recognized our December students. They were nominated for showing kindness, and those students are Miss Haley Cawley, Reed O'Neill, Maya Bell, Sierra Carowin, Jocelyn Bialta, Bryce Dunham, Jenna Hacker, Brooklyn Sampson, Jeremiah Green, and Aaron LaFawn. Our January students of the month, they were nominated for showing perseverance, and those students were Miss Isabella Donovan, Alan Dorsey Fisher, Delaney Troth, Kenley Small, Lily Tillman, Caleb Monk, James Keel, Reagan Curtis, and Harrison Aldridge. Okay, so we also have a lot of extracurriculars for an elementary school, which is super exciting. So we have our first Odyssey of the Mind team. You'll see that later on in your agenda to approve our field trip. They have a competition in Kitty Hawk at the end of February. This is a team of 7 students. They choose an open-ended problem that is given to them. They have quite a menu to choose from. They work together completely independently to find a solution to this problem. They have all kinds of costumes, props. It's pretty much a skit with a very creative solution. It's really cool, and the kids are really into it. So we're looking forward to watching them compete at the end of February. Our Girls on the Run spring team has also begun their spring season with another full team this semester. And our Gentlemen of Excellence group, which is a new group to our school, Ms. Jackson got to actually see their meeting a couple weeks ago. They had their first meeting. We have guest speakers planned for them every other week until the end of the school year. And Pastor A.B. Almore from Motion Church came and spoke to our gentlemen, and it was a wonderful message. It was exactly what they needed to hear. We have Mr. Adam Denny, our assistant principal LAC's husband, coming next week, actually on Friday, to teach them how to tie a tie. So we have lots of fun things planned. They are loving it, and it's just really good to see them, get good messages from other adults in our community. Okay, also, spelling bee. We hosted our class spelling bees. We now have our finalists for the upcoming school bee. That's going to be on the 18th, and the winner of this bee will go on to regionals. At the end of the second quarter, we had our celebration for positive behavior, and this was also super awesome. We had local magician Brian Sanders come to our school, and we were all so impressed. I think even Ms. Jackson and I, our minds were blown. So that was our reward for our students who showed really good behavior during the second quarter. We also recognized our staff member, Ms. Suzanne Budzinkiewicz, with the All-Star Apple Award for the month of January. And I can't end tonight without just bringing attention to our school counselor on National School Counseling Week. I know this is something that we've not had at an elementary level, which is a school counselor, and I just want to say I can't imagine him not being a part of our school community, and I think that was probably the best use of ESSER funds that we could have ever spent on this year. So he's just been a huge help, especially in the wake of COVID and all of the challenges that our students are having socially and emotionally right now. So Mr. B, if you're listening, you're doing a great job, and you are an invaluable asset to our school. So thank you, guys.
Thank you. And last but certainly not least, the primary school.
Good evening. I don't know why I felt the need to introduce myself, but I'm going to go with it. I'm Sharon Carter-Moore. Primary. A few of the wonderful things happening at the primary school include the recognition of some of our significant young Americans in honor of Black History Month. The students in our third grade classrooms join us each morning during the announcements to share some little unknown fact about history makers, but of a similar age. So they are very excited to learn that even they can make a difference in the world. We are also hosting our first annual Super Bowl tasting contest on Friday. Staff members enter the contest anonymously, and tasters vote on their favorite soup. So we're kind of excited about that. And since we are all winners at primary school, the person with the most votes will claim the prize. Our pups have completed all of their middle of the year assessments. Our data teams are in the process of analyzing, organizing, and sharing the data. We are meeting with the grade levels this week to discuss the drivers and barriers. The conversation will help drive our instruction. Miss Dana joined our team in the new year. Super excited about that. And as part of her contribution, she has allowed some special time for our teachers to work in their PLCs to work on their letters. I'm not sure if you guys know what letters are, but it is a program to help teachers or teachers of reading develop the tools necessary to be successful. So they are grateful for that time that we have allotted them. And that's pretty much it. Thank you.
So, how awesome are they? I mean, I'm telling you, who wouldn't want to be in school right now? So, anyway, thank you, ladies, very much. And Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
And I'm just going to say, I think the board, we look forward to principal time. I do. It's
I
great
won't skip another month next time because they had extra to tell this time.
Yep. No, we look forward to it. It's great. And our learning coordinator and our assistant principal, Ms. Mosley Jones, that's a prime example of grow our own coming back to Pamlico County. So that's great for both of y'all. And again, the principal time and everything that's going on, that's just, things are going good. Things are going good, and y'all are doing a great job. Thank you. Moving on to our consent agenda. So everyone's had a chance to review 4.1, 4.2. If you'll look in your handout, there is the addition of 4.3, and this is for our NJROTC. And as I always say about this program, I think this is one of our most beneficial and outstanding programs in our school system. ROTC does a great job. So if everyone will I'll give her a couple minutes to review that. And if we need to pull any of these individually and vote on them, we will. If not, we'll vote as all three with the consent. Everyone good? Mm-hmm. Do we need to pull any individually, or can we vote? Oh, got feedback. We can vote on all three as with our consent agenda. Okay. With that, I'll entertain a motion to approve our consent agenda.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, agenda item 5, instruction. We have nothing tonight. We have nothing for finance, Mr. Curtis. Okay. All right, moving on to agenda item 7, our governance, 7.1. Do we have an introduction or?
Just read that.
Okay. My future NC presentation and request for resolution presented by Ms. Tony Blunt. Thank you.
Good evening. I am Tony Blunt. I'm a regional impact manager for my future NC, and I feel like I'm in the room with friends because I've worked with many of the principals here, and Miss Vicki Mosley-Jones from Craven Community College back in my time as faculty there. So I joined my future NC back in June after serving in the K-12 public system and the community college system for over 20 years. And so I reached out to Ms. Jackson after taking a look at all of the ways that we connect from a statewide organization to a locally driven organization. And being that I am in the Southeast and Sand Hills regions and living in Craven County, it just seemed so fit for me to come down and just spend a few minutes with you all today. So let me go through, let me set this here so I can navigate this a little bit better. I just have a few things prepared in this presentation.
I think it's at the top.
Seems like.
I think it's at the top, right?
Well, yeah, this is our website, which I am going to navigate to. Yeah, so the PowerPoint. There it is. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so My Future NC is a statewide nonprofit organization focused on educational attainment and cross-sector collaboration among North Carolina leaders in education and business and government. So we understand after years of research and in current research that North Carolina's skills gap problem is a concern. So if we look at some of these numbers, 67% of jobs in North Carolina require a high-quality credential or post-secondary degree. 49% of North Carolinians between the ages of 25 and 44 have completed that level of education. And 1/2 of North Carolina employers need more hireable workers, citing lack of skills and overall education. So we also know that we are expected to outpace growth in occupations requiring only a high school degree by 2 times between 2018 and 2028. So My Future NC is looking at a 2030 attainment goal. So we know if we don't do anything other than what we're doing right now, by 2030 we're going to have a shortfall of 400,000 hireable workers in North Carolina. And when we think about those hireable workers, we're not just talking about four-year graduates or master's degree graduates. We're talking about students that are leaving high school either earning credentials or going right to a community college to earn a credential or a degree, or going on to a four-year college in a transferable position or a four-year degree. And we call these high-quality credentials or post-secondary degrees. So our goal is based on some of this data. So we know that 13 of 100 students in North Carolina, 13 do not complete high school on time. 29 graduate but do not transition to post-secondary programs within 12 months. 13 enroll but do not return for a second year. 14 return but do not graduate within 6 years. And out of 100 students in North Carolina, only 31 earn a degree or credential within 6 years of graduating from high school. So that should be a number that's concerning to all of us. So we really focus on closing the attainment gap with My Future NC. So increasing levels of education after high school for all individuals are important, but we're especially focusing on first-generation students, students from low-income backgrounds, and Black, Hispanic, Latinx, Native American students is essential, and you can see some of those numbers. So all students together, grouped together, 46% in the ages of 25 to 44 is the educational attainment gap. But then it breaks down from the highest rate of 78% for our Asian and Pacific Islander students to 19% for American Indian at the lowest level. So My Future NC is rich in data resources, and that's one of the things that we hope we can do locally for county commissioners, for school boards, for principals and their staffs. So the four things that we focus on primarily at My Future NC is academic readiness, college and career access, post-secondary completion, and labor market alignment. Some notes while your wonderful principals were presenting, because every single one of them said something in relation to what I'm talking about tonight. I heard ACT prep, I heard HBCU week, I heard Oh, the Places You'll Go, meaning career and college planning. I heard assessment, data, and data teams. I heard adult mentoring, and I heard school counseling. And so My Future NC divides the state up into 4 different regions, and I represent the bottom right quadrant, which is the Southeast, the Sandhills, and the South Central, in which Pamlico County is a member. And so our work is about collaboration. So we work on the North Carolina DPI College and Career Readiness Campaign. We work on the FAFSA network. In fact, I had a wonderful conversation with school counselor Brandy McClandis and Dr. Patrick this week about the FAFSA rates at Pamlico High School. We have convened a local educational attainment collaborative, and that is called Our Future E3NC, Educate, Equipped, and Excel. And that is a group of 9 county representatives from the Eastern Carolina Workforce Development Board that is working with high school CTE directors, high school CDCs, and community college folks to bring together to the conversation college and career awareness. We're working with the NC10, which are the 10 private and public HBCUs. We have developed the North Carolina First and FAFSA tracker. We work with adult learners through NC Reconnect in the community college system, NC Workforce Credentials, and we have an Opportunity Youth Network in which Pamlico County is a member because of the number of 14 to 25-year-olds who are not affiliated with school or a job. And so what we do is we convene and engage, we collect data, we share data, and we go as often as we can on advocacy with North Carolina legislation. And so as you can see, and I mentioned, here's our state of North Carolina, and Pamlico has a red circle, and that is an Opportunity Youth Network. So this is a community, as you can see across the state, with Opportunity Youth counties and districts in which we bring in guest speakers on promising practices in hopes that they will be replicated in each county, or at least a version of it for the county that it makes sense for. So there are county attainment profiles on our website, which I'll navigate to in just a moment. And on that county attainment profile, Carolina Demography out of the UNC School of Government identifies 3 areas of growth for each county in North Carolina. And you will have access, Ms. Jackson, to the PowerPoint with the links afterwards to share that. Okay. So it would be wonderful if board members or school administrators want to use the county tools to measure growth. And I'll just show. Now I think I'm going to pop out of this presentation and just go directly to the website. So on the website, in order to get to the data dashboard, you would just go to this dashboard here and then the County Explorer or the County Data and Resources. And it is so rich with information from Carolina Demography that if any of you are in the grant writing process and you need all of your county data, it is right here on this website. So we're going to find Pamlico County. And here is your county profile. And so, as I said, it speaks about building the foundation, so pre-K to 8th grade. We do a lot of data on cradle to career. Ready for college and career, so we're measuring how many students took AP courses, how many students enrolled in CCP courses, how many students are earning college and career readiness scores, level 4 or 5 in math and reading in 3rd through 8th grade. We're also looking at the number of students that met the goal for graduating within 4 years. And then in the prosperity zone, there is some data that talks about how many students, 143 students served in an apprenticeship program across the prosperity zone. And then what I really like about this area is the opportunity for growth. So one thing that I noticed when I joined my future NC back in June was that the school counselor ratio was 1308 to 1. And since then, I believe we've hired more counselors, and we have, I expect when this new profile gets released in the next 2 months that that is no longer going to be an area for growth because it's surpassed what the rural metro county average of 378 students to 1 counselor. Another area for growth is the adult learners. So right now, 33% of Pamlico County adults have some college, no degree, and this is above the rural metro county average of 25%, but it's still a fairly low number. And then post-secondary completion is the 3rd area of growth. And basically what we're saying is 44% of Pamlico County high school graduates who enroll in post-secondary programs earn a degree or a credential within 6 years. So that's many students that are not finishing that degree or credential. And so part of what the takeaway is for us tonight is an endorsement that I talked to Ms. Jackson about in the most recent history. So I'm going to go back to our main site and go to our endorsements. So what we're doing across North Carolina is just reaching out to different organizations and groups, county groups and city groups, and asking for groups of people to just understand what the work is that we're doing and that how it is so closely connected to everything that we all do together and that we all care about. And so we are getting endorsements from businesses, local board of county commissioners, and right now, the community college endorsements, we have 100% of community colleges, college presidents in North Carolina who have endorsed our work. And in the UNC system, we have all UNC university presidents who are endorsing our work, and we are so close in our local K-12 school district. We have over 78 school systems that are endorsing our work. And so, and what I'm bringing you tonight is that request for the resolution to just be aware and say that you are willing to support the endeavors that this work brings. And Ms. Jackson, I'll turn it back over to you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Do y'all have any questions for Ms. Blunt? We actually do have a resolution, and she actually told me this is a resolution, like you heard her say, the president signed it. I could have just signed it, but you know I don't like to do that here, and I wanted to make sure that we all understood exactly what was involved in the resource that it brings to our, not only our students, but our community. And then I'm happy to share this resolution with you either later tonight or tomorrow. We actually have it. And then I feel confident I'll get a thumbs up from everybody because it's a wonderful resource. And then I'll be glad to sign it. And then we can get our logo up there too.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am, it is open, it's public facing, yes.
So does anyone have any questions for Tony?
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Ms. Blunt.
Very good and informative information. Thank you. All right, moving on to 7.2. And this is an exciting agenda item, I think, for me. And had a meeting last week with Mr. Curtis and Dr. Bracy and Mr. Ferris and Ms. Jackson and myself, and we've asked them to come tonight to discuss the new 612 building and the addition to the primary school with our SFL&A architects, and I'm going to turn that over to Mr. Ferris.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and board members. As you know, we are working on your needs-based grant application. There's been a lot of effort going into that. We've met with staff a number of times. We've talked about what is going to go in the new building, number of students. We've done a deep dive into all of your data, and we really have a good handle on the 612 project. And then, of course, the other project is to bring all of your elementary, or I'd say pre-K through 5th graders together into one facility. So we've kind of broken it down into 2 facilities. We've started budgeting the projects, and we've looked at how much money, the maximum amount allowed by the state for the grant, the state grant, and that's $50 million. And the hope is, of course, we would submit the application, you would get the $50 million, and then we could proceed with the work. So we've run the budgets, and as you all know, inflation is very, very real. We're all experiencing it. And I'd say in the construction market, we're experiencing it even more so than in our daily lives. We've seen inflation at about 2% a month for the last few months, and we've seen literally the costs of schools going up. You know, one year it was $100 a square foot more than the year before. So a lot of inflation, and that's a very real issue. So we put together budgets, and what we're recommending that we do and that we proceed with, and of course, and I'll be happy to answer any questions about this, but that we do the 612 school first. We will design a number of alternates. So we'll design components that if we have the money, we would build that with phase 1, and if we don't, we would move it into phase 2. We can't predict what costs are going to be. We have a good handle on it, but nobody has a crystal ball and can predict it exactly. So we would do the 612 school first, and then we would do the pre-K through 5th grade, the addition, and new ball fields, and removing the old school as sort of a second project with some alternates, maybe some technology upgrades, things like that in that second project. And all that depends on how the numbers come in. So we wanted to make you aware of that's what we're thinking, get your feedback. I'd love to answer any questions. As I said, we're moving forward very, very quickly with your grant application. And so that, unless you tell us differently, that would be the direction that we would like to head in, is with the 2 projects, a phase 1 and a phase 2. And we will reapply next year for the additional money to do phase 2, because you can get grant money this year as well as next year. Yes, sir.
So where would the 612, I was thinking you were going to do the K-5 thing, the 3-5 or whatever it is, 2-4-5 first. But apparently you're talking about doing the 612 first.
And that's why we asked him to come here, because he started talking.
So where would that building be?
It would be behind the old high school in the ball field. So we would move the ball field. It would be a sort of a temporary move. We would build the new building behind the old high school, and then we would, and I should say this, the hope is that we would actually start phase 2 about simultaneously with phase 1, approximately. So if you look at the timing on this, let's assume we get the needs-based grant in no later than May of this year. We will move very quickly to design that project, and it will probably start construction maybe next March or April. So we start construction on that, and then we apply for the next needs-based grant, and we would hopefully be awarded that in May of next year. So then we would just change order all the addition, and the new ball fields, and anything that we couldn't afford with the high school, we would change order it into the contract, so it just moves seamlessly. So that's the hope. Did I answer your question?
Well, you kind of did. I thought you were going to demolish the Anderson and then build on that site, but obviously you're not, you're building somewhere else. When you say build behind the high school, where specifically are you talking about?
Right on the baseball field.
Baseball field?
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
That'd be interesting.
He has
So
a
we're going to
plan.
move the baseball field, and this is different. So I know I'm probably springing this on some of y'all.
I told you, I told you.
Well,
Ms. Jackson was really surprised by this plan the other day.
When he brought this to me last week, I said, yeah, we need to have a meeting with the board chair and Steve, because this because of the funding. He can get more funding doing it in this order, which we need. And then when we met, John said, and now we're bringing this to the full board. So
Right.
that's why it's here, because it's a little bit different than what we were planning.
so to answer your question, Mr. Delmore.
I think I understand it.
Yeah,
The
so-
baseball
Okay.
field.
The baseball field and the 612 Phase 1.
You don't care as long as it don't mess with the softball
No,
field.
that's
No, well-
not the case.
No, let me finish.
There would be a baseball field.
So 612 on the baseball field would get us out of the middle school first, which that's, as we've all discussed. it's
I
not-
think it makes sense. It makes sense. I got no problem with it.
But then Phase 2, that's when Anderson would be taken down, and then a new complex, softball and baseball complex, will be built there with 2 softball fields and 2 baseball fields that will be for both the middle school and the high school. Plus, it'll give us other opportunities for summer activities and things, because it'll be a nice complex. So it's a phased process, and then we get out of the middle school first, because it's just a matter of when we have the next hurricane. And then, once all that's done, then we take Anderson down, which is a very old school as well, and we'll end up with a refurbished, or I'm not gonna say refurbished, we'll end up with a nice new primary K-5, and we'll have a new 612 facility.
I see what you're doing. It's fine. Working out the traffic patterns, though, that may be the challenging part of the whole thing.
Yep.
That will be a tricky thing, for sure.
We'll have the Steve Curtis roundabout.
Roundabout.
Yep. So yeah, when I met the other day and we talked about it, and I said, yeah, this needs to go before the board, and I said, I don't see any issues with our board, because I think it's a great plan, very great plan. And
Well, if Jones County can do it, we can do it.
That's right.
That's right.
Any questions, other questions from the board on this? We have Mr. Curtis here with finance, he can give us, and then Dr. Bracy and Mr. Ferris, or myself, or Ms. Jackson.
And this may be too early. Have you found out anything about Anderson Drive? Can we take it over?
We
not
don't.
there
You're
yet.
talking about
We're
this
not there
road, the
yet.
main road?
Huh?
Yeah.
We're
So
not
as
there
long as
yet.
we own, I'm very familiar with this because I've done it a lot. So as long as we own all the property on both sides of a state highway, we can petition to have that road abandoned. There's a process where the commissioners approve it, and then once approved by the commissioners, it goes to the state board, Department of Transportation, and they can abandon it, and then it becomes ours.
And that would be critical in this
Yeah.
whole
Yeah,
plan.
that can be done.
And our task now is get the grant application done, think through it, have a plan that's very executable, because DPI will be looking at that. And by the way, I should say, this plan will actually, it should generate more money for the county than doing it all at once. Because
Right.
one of the priorities, and this is really big for the General Assembly, was that anytime you're consolidating more than one school, that would give you a priority in getting funding. So we would be doing the 612 as one school, and then your 2 elementary facilities would be coming together. So you really get priority in the list of school districts that would be doing projects. You would get priority in both years.
Go for it.
All right.
Yep.
Any other questions? Well, thank you all for allowing me to be here tonight and for this opportunity.
Thank
you,
you.
Mr. Ferris.
And as I said, it's very exciting times. This is something that we've been discussing for quite some time, and this funding is, I think it's, I'm not gonna say once in a generation, but it could be possibly. So we need to take advantage, and we're long overdue for some improvements in our capital.
Well, let's hope that we can get this far enough along that we don't have another hurricane that hits the middle school. And I just don't think the state will fund another renovation there. We've done it twice, and it's just not gonna happen. So hopefully we'll get lucky and not have a major hurricane between now and the time you guys do your thing, if you do your thing.
Yep. Any other questions or comments? Good. Thank you. Outstanding. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 7.3. This is the discussion of our COVID-19 protocols. So currently we are mask optional. I can open the floor for discussion by board members. We can remain mask optional, or if we need to discuss that and change, we can do that as well. I don't know if everyone's been following numbers, our current numbers, or if you have questions on those. Ms. Jackson, she can kind of give us the trend.
Well, I will tell you that if you look at the sheet that Tiffany sends out, from last board meeting to this board meeting, there's been a drastic drop. And I know that's probably what most of you look at, but have y'all ever used the dashboard on our website to see the trends? Because I'm going to show you real quick. And I know because it's not sure, they're probably big mic. If you look, okay, good. So where are we? On our website, there's a little button, a little tab at the top. And if you go to that, the good thing about this, let me make sure, I probably should use that mouse over there. But this will show you the trends, and you can see with students and with staff, and even down to particular schools. So this actually was updated as of, hang on just a second, let me go. All right, I know it just had 2.7 up here. Oh, this is a monthly, okay. So you can look at the students and see, and this was about the last board meeting where you see it way up. So you can see based on the color, and if you hover your mouse over it, I hope I don't mess anything up, I think if I just touch it, it will show you that as of Friday, there were 5 students that were, this is positives. It'll show you the positive each school. Here's the yellow, it's the middle school. And you can just kind of go through and see the trends. And so you can see after Christmas it went up, but now it's trending back down. And I know when I just looked at this, it was updated to today. But anyway, it's gone down again. So.
Lisa, I've got a question.
I hope I can answer it.
Compared with the systems that still, which Ed North Carolina did a feature this week and showed all the systems that have masking and those that don't. Which I think 75% are still in mask. And we're in a little pocket in eastern North Carolina that's unmasked. How do we compare with these school systems that are still doing mask?
I don't really know any specific numbers for the other schools. However, I will tell you this. I just came from a meeting where a lot of superintendents were there. And principals don't think that I'm taking lightly what you've had to do to cover for people that have been out, especially over the last month. But I've heard horror stories about just the numbers of staff and students that have been out. And again, I know you guys have had to do that too, but we're just very fortunate we haven't had to consider going remote. You know, we've been able to cover our folks. And I know that we had to do some creative things, and I really appreciate you guys doing that. And only one time did I even get a call over here that says, hey, we might need help in the front office. Because other than that, they've been able to handle it. So that says to me we're doing well compared to some other folks. But I don't know specifics, but I can certainly find out.
Well, it's just a thought.
Yeah.
That Ed North Carolina, I don't know how many of you look at it, but they give a lot of good information.
They do.
And this was one of the things that they focused on in the past week or so. And 75% are still in mask. 25% of us are not mask optional. And we're in the area of southeastern North Carolina that's not masked. And based on what I see, we're doing just as well or better than those that have the mask. So you begin to wonder
Yeah, and I'll tell
about
you,
the value of the
and
mask.
principals, feel free to speak up, but I do still see a lot of students and staff wearing masks because it's their choice. Probably as many wearing them than are not wearing them. And I will say this is just our data. I haven't seen a whole lot of difference in the ones that are positive, the mask. I'll just say it. It's still, I mean, I couldn't say, well, the ones that aren't wearing masks are the ones that are turning out positive, because that hasn't been the case from what I've seen. So, but anyway, this, I was looking at the, I didn't have the refresh. So you can see, this is today, right here. Whoops, I know better than to touch it, but anyway. So it's gone down, but you can see about 2 weeks after Christmas, we were way up there, which was to be expected.
That's really
Help
good.
me out, Jeremy. So any questions about this? And you can see this, it is live, well, daily, we update it for students, staff, quarantined, and positive. And what's very interesting is, show me the one that has the quarantine versus the positives on the same graph. There was one. Do you know which one I'm talking about? So here you can see the yellow is who was positive, but the black is how many we quarantined. So look at that. So we were quarantining a whole lot more back then. This is in September, but only that many were positive. And that's, it's kind of gone up and down, but now it's a little closer aligned. Because I think we're doing a better job with it now, and we kind of had to.
But Lisa, excuse me, I'm sorry, the ones that were quarantining, they did have to quarantine. The total went from 14 to 10. You can come back, stay out 5, but you had to come back 5 with the mask, correct?
Yes. Yes. So the quarantine time is less. Now, if the parents don't want them to wear a mask, then they do have to stay out the whole time. Same thing with staff. And you might want to ask the principals what they're seeing.
But I wanted to point that graph out because I just usually look at the chart that Tiffany gives you that is just numbers, but that's kind of interesting too to see that.
Yeah, the graphs tell the story.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Any other questions? Any other comments? Okay, so I can entertain a motion that we remain mask optional.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, moving on to agenda item 7.4, Policy Conversion Committee. And this is presented by Dr. Patrick, and this is, I'll let him explain when he comes up.
Well, actually, I'm going to explain.
What's that?
I said, actually, I'm going to.
Oh, okay, I'm
It
sorry.
does have him on there. But no, we are actually going to let Rachel speak to this. Dr.
Okay.
Patrick and I contacted Rachel about, last month you guys voted for the policy conversion. It's massive. It's a lot of work. And we wanted to do right by you in how we redo these policies. So we weren't really sure what was the appropriate thing. Have policy committees, bring you 40 policies every board meeting. I mean, have you seen the policy manual? Printed it out, it's about this thick, at least. So we contacted Rachel, and she offered some suggestions. So I asked her if she would mention this to you, and then we can kind of decide from there what we want to do with our policy conversion.
Sure. So you have some options. One of them would be for every policy that gets revised to come to you for readings and then re-revisions, or basically you become the group that does all the legwork on the revisions. But another option would be for you to appoint a policy committee, and that's pretty common in school systems. They'll appoint a policy committee, and the committee doesn't necessarily, they don't take the place of the board, but they can do some of that. If you have a policy committee with a couple board members on it, then they can talk about, okay, what about, this issue with the dress code, or what about this issue? They can vet the policies for what are likely to be questions from you guys. And that way, what you guys are approving is a little bit more, it's a recommendation from the policy committee. So some board members have already looked over it. It doesn't mean you don't still get to have final approval of it. It just means that you all don't have to do all of the work on all of the policies. And then, we can be as involved or as uninvolved as you guys want. Sometimes where school systems have questions about, do we have discretion on this, or is this something we have to do, or can we change this? They just want to make sure that if they're altering something from the proposed school boards association policy, or sometimes there's something that may be more of an issue locally that doesn't show up in some of the broader school board association policies, then we can help you work through that. But we can minimize the cost on that by just reviewing the ones where you guys have questions.
So how many would you recommend to be on this committee?
It's up to you guys. If you do 2 members, you could do 2 board members on the policy committee. You could do 3. You wouldn't have a quorum if you had 3. So you could appoint a committee of 2 or 3.
How many would you recommend?
I think it depends on how many people are interested in being on the policy committee.
Or do I get appointed?
So in my mind, 3 makes sense.
That's the
because
number.
you want several. One, that you have somebody to break a tie if there's a discussion about it. So I think it would be a good idea to look at 3. If you can't get 3, then a policy committee of 2 board members is still helpful. And usually you get a member or 2 of the administration to sit on that policy committee as well, to try to be representative of how your administrators may, or questions your administrators may want to know about as far as implementation, just where the rubber meets the road when we go to implement this thing. So my recommendation would be that 3 of you would be great, but if only 2 of you have the time to dedicate to it, because it is pretty time consuming to do the policies.
Right. So I have a recommendation for this committee. I'd like to ask Mr. Dudley to chair it. I'd like to ask Mr. McCotter to be on it, and I'd like to ask Ms. Dunbar to be on it.
Perfect. Right. Good committee.
I'd like to ask Dr. Patrick to serve on it, and if we need other of your staff,
Sure.
you can do that as well.
Are they still going to use the school board association?
Oh, yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is after they make their recommendation, then normally we would just bring them all here. And this way, a board member has vetted them, because there may be some local policies that they don't understand why we have them there.
And they write policies, they write general policies, which are great, and their policies are a great point. And on many things, you won't have any revisions necessarily. But what works in Wake County or what works in Durham may not necessarily work well in Pamlico. And so I think it is a good idea. My advice would be to have a Pamlico committee review those for things that might need a local flair or be a local thing that needs a little bit of an amendment to it.
How often would you recommend the committee meet? Monthly?
Great committee, John.
Is that a weekly meeting, a monthly meeting?
great.
I mean, because it's going to be a lot.
It is a lot of policies, and the committee could set their meeting
I was getting ready to say, yeah,
frequency. Yeah, when they realize how fast the policies are
Yeah.
coming in for conversion. So if you're getting dumps from the school board association weekly, you may want to meet weekly or bi-weekly, and not wait until you have a month's worth of those. But if they're coming in at a little lower frequency and you're just getting them once a month, then the committee would only need to meet once a month.
Yeah, that was going to be my recommendation. I think, Dr. Patrick, you've been in good conversation with the School Board Association, so y'all could set an initial committee meeting, and then as those policies come in, then y'all can set schedules on that. Do I have,
Did they agree?
yeah, I'm going to say, do I have any dissension from my nominees?
I have a question.
You're good?
Good. I'm good. Good.
Ms. Dunbar?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
So the committee would review the policies and then bring that to the full board for the full board to approve?
They could make edits to the policy, and then when the policy is suitable to the committee, then the committee could recommend to the board. And they can actually highlight, here's where we made amendments or whatever for the board, but it keeps you from having the whole board to spend all of
Right.
your time laboring on those. And while the School Board Association policies are great, there is a lot of policy that is discretionary. And so that's where a committee can kind of help direct, here are our options of things we could do here. We think this one's going to fit best for Pamlico County, and bring that to the board. But then you'd just be looking at highlights from the committee would make a report, here, and they could report to the board, here are the certain things that we think we want to do differently, or that we thought we should edit, but the board could, when they look at it, it's up to the board to adopt the policy.
Would you do it kind of like a consent agenda, possibly?
You could. Lots of school boards adopt policies when they're coming in mass like that by consent agenda, if everyone's looked at them and no one has a concern about the policy. And that helps move them along a little bit quicker, so you don't get bogged down in the tediousness of trying to redo all of your policies in a conversion.
The original school board policy manual was produced about 35 years ago. And it was in 2 notebooks that were brought into the board, each given a copy, and they approved it on the spot. Nobody ever looked at it. That's how things used to be done.
Well, I can say that I remember Ms. Dunbar making many presentations on policies to the board some years back. I won't say how many, but
Just a couple.
but just a few. But anyway, I think having a committee is going to help the board it's going to be cost efficient for you. It's going to help the board make better decisions, I think, without having to invest as much time from the entirety of the board.
How many do you anticipate we would receive per month?
I'm not sure.
I was gonna say, I think our next step is gonna be, Mr. Dudley, our vice chair, is gonna chair the committee. I'm gonna have you communicate with Dr. Patrick, and y'all can set a time. And then I think once y'all have a better hand on from the School Board Association, I think that's when.
Sort of the logistics.
Yeah, the logistics, I think that's when that could, and y'all could probably set, we want, once you know all the information better, I think that question can probably be answered better, because I don't know if anybody could answer that right now.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Yeah. So I'm gonna let Mr. Dudley and Dr. Patrick, I'll let y'all, and with Ms. Jackson, and thank you, Mr. McCotter, and thank you, Mr. Dudley, and thank you, Ms. Dunbar. Thank you, Rachel.
Sure, absolutely.
Any other comments on that? Yes.
It is always good to have an alternate, just in case something happens.
Are you volunteering?
I am.
What's that?
Yes, sir?
Are you volunteering?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, I thought you said I am not.
We have an alternate, just in case. Thank you, Ms. Robinson.
Good job.
She keeps me straight. All right. Agenda item 7.5, Ms. Jackson.
Item 7.5 is to approve the 2023 Board of Education regular meeting schedule, and you have that in your packet.
All right, so if you look at handout 7.5, you'll see we've got, as we approve every year, our schedule starting July and then 2022 through June 2023. If everyone's in agreement, there's no changes to be made, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item 7.6, Mr. Dudley.
I move that the Pamlico County Board of Education enter into closed session to consider confidential student matters as provided in NC General Statute 143-318.11A1 and the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act 20 U.S.C. 1232G and GS 115C-402, confidential personnel matters as provided in NCGS 143-318.11, A1, 5, and 6, and 115C-319, and to consult with the Board of Education attorney in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege as provided in General Statute 143-318.11A3.
Have a motion, need a second. Second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. All right, we are in closed session, 7:50.
Long.
That sounds
In open session, so I need a motion to approve the personnel report for action as presented. In closed
Motion.
session. Motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Need a motion to approve the list of out-of-district students as presented in closed session.
Motion.
Motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays, motion carries. You'll see the dates for other board meetings, but make special note of special Board of Education meeting, budget work sessions. They actually start next month. Correct, Mr. Curtis? That's correct. And they move into April, all the way down into May, in June, or around that time when we make our presentation. I'm just going, I think this building is awesome.
I agree.
And I want to thank,
I don't know how we ever met in that other room. It just-
Great, it's so exciting.
I want to thank Ms. Jackson, and I want to thank Mr. Curtis, Dr. Johnson, and please make sure.
Corey.
Yeah,
Corey will be here next month. I've already asked him to come because I want to recognize the people that.
yeah. They've done a lot of hard work.
I got a head.
So with this being a soft opening, is there any suggestions? Because this was kind of a good time
The
to,
lights are real bright.
so the lights are a little bright.
And I will add that he dimmed them for me because they were brighter. Let me just tell you, they were much
Oh.
brighter.
You dim them, oh,
Well,
wow.
It's like Kirsten's son. I'm not wearing my sunglasses.
I've got a couple questions. So I would like a clock back there, a digital clock that shows hours, minutes, and seconds. That'll help with like public comment and things like that. The sidewalls, are we gonna put anything
Oh,
on
yes,
those?
it's
Or okay,
solved. It's
Can you
solved.
turn
We've got
the camera
pictures of board members. We still have to get Miss Judy's picture.
Yeah, the pictures.
And we
that-
have, the monitors will be up here. We have pictures of students and some other special things that will be coming.
so the monitors in the back, are they gonna be displaying what was on there tonight, or?
Yes, sir. There are two 80-inch monitors that'll be behind, and then once it's all together, it will all be in sync, and we can show, you'll be able to see right there, and it'll all.
Good deal.
It'll all be together.
One of the presenters needed a table, I thought, tonight. She had to put her stuff in the chair.
She didn't tell us. And we are gonna get a new podium.
I was getting ready to say, can we get a new podium?
We'll have a new podium and tables. Typically,
All right, y'all, order.
I would say this, normally the boardroom will be set up.
Order down and out of here.
Order down, they're talking.
Y'all been called on the carpet?
It's Paul's
So
fault.
the boardroom will be set up with tables for our meetings, for large meetings, and then for board meetings, we'll set it up like this. Now you've got a mess down there.
And I'm sure y'all are gonna discuss with the sound system folks about the feedback, getting that.
Oh, yeah.
Because there was some,
Oh, yeah.
there was
We know
feedback
what
issues.
we know what, he already knows what happened.
Okay, good
yes.
deal. But
And I
no,
will say this, the sound system people will be here at the grand opening and will run the video and the audio for us while Dr.
Okay, good.
Johnson is looking on, so
good deal.
we got a good setup, we think.
So,
Wade, you good with it all? Good.
John, if this whole place is full, Helen's saying, where are they all parking?
Well, that's in our 50-year plan, we have a parking lot over here.
Yeah.
It was bad tonight, I'm just telling you, I had nowhere to park, I was parking kind of on the grass. So just
That's a
if
good,
they-
we'll,
And it wasn't a big night.
well, we'll definitely look into that.
Good to know, because we were all here, you know, all day, so we didn't realize that, so thank you for telling us.
And even when we were meeting in there, you know, that it was an issue then, but it's definitely something, now that we've got a bigger facility, and what Ms. Dunbar requested in closed session that we can talk about in open session is, now that we do have more space, maybe incorporating a few more good news with
Oh, yeah, we
students and
will.
things like that.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with COVID, you know, loosening up a little bit, so, but yeah, we'll definitely look into the parking, because that is a issue, so. If there's not anything else, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion. Second.
Motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We are adjourned. Thank Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everyone.